Hello and welcome to Simuldub Saints, your guide to seasonal anime dubs. I'm your host, Laser Kid, and with me as always is my trusty co-host.
Hello, I am Archangel, lover of cat girls.
You've listened to our theme song, Wherever I Go, from friend of the podcast, Ampren. Please check out their awesome music, link in the description.
And in this episode, we are shouting out CraigNotCreg. More about them at the end.
my shorts master over there. So I'll get into that in a minute. Well, we got just a little bit of news, and then we're going to get into a very fun topic. We haven't done one of these in a while, but it hasn't been as deserved as this for a while. But first, before we get into why haven't they dubbed this, the news. Kaiju number 8's Narumi's Week at Work original short anime premieres on September 5. We know they are working on a third season. Don't know exactly when that's coming out, but this reminds me of a day off episode that became the start of season 2, so that's a good sign.
Indeed, and yeah, animation like that does not occur overnight.
No, absolutely not. Next piece of news. The daily life of a middle-aged online shopper in another world English dub is streaming on Crunchyroll. They dubbed the whole season. Gotta love it when they go back and dub a whole show.
Indeed.
Which is relevant to today's topic, actually. I actually hope that's what happens here.
Yeah, this whole episode is basically a big fucking hint to Crunchyroll. My words, but
whether or not they listen is anyone's guess, but
I'm sure they have many considerations they're operating under, and I am quite sure we are not one of them.
I completely agree. And this last piece of news is kind of an addendum to our season lineup because we've got some season news over on Hidive. Got 3 new summer dubs coming our way, one of which is already here. And that is the one we knew was coming. Hell Mode Season 2 started back on August 5th. We have talked about Hell Mode a lot, so I will spare you all, but it is very fun generic isekai, but it's very good generic isekai, so highly recommended.
And it is absolutely coming back with a bang. No spoilers, go watch it, but I will say that this episode is evidence of what happens when you leave the voice cast unsupervised for a while.
The first you're referring to the first episode of season 2, yes.
Yes.
I had to clarify that for people who aren't us.
Okay, anyway, but yeah, go. Yes, I mean, go watch the whole show if you haven't.
We literally did an episode on season 1. We highly recommend it.
Yep.
Coming up next on August 19th is The Forsaken Saintess and her foodie road trip in another world. Hidive describes it as a gourmet slow life isekai. Late 20s caregiver Rin Takanashi has been summoned as a saint, only to then be dumped alone in another world. Equipped with her ridiculously overpowered godlike skills, motorhome, aka Molchan, and survival, she decides to indulge her love of solo camping and cooking in this strange new place. Thus begins Rin's journey, one filled with gourmet cuisine and an array of wonderful companions along the way. Now hop aboard Mochan and enjoy this fantasy world to its fullest. This is either going to be really fun or really boring.
Just for that description, I'm saying this is an alternate universe for later in the timeline of Yoru camping, because the solo camper in that show is named Rin.
Oh my gosh.
Rin Shima, not Rin Takanashi, but anyway, that's hilarious. So it sounds to me like, what was the one with the floof and the dragon?
Campfire cooking, yes. This reminds me very much of
campfire cooking in another world. This seems like someone said, let's take that concept and pump the brakes a little bit.
Yes.
So we'll see how it goes.
And this next one is The World is Dancing, coming out August 26th. Hidive described it as a historical period drama. Okay. One does not need dance to live. In 1374, during the turbulent age when the northern and southern courts were locked in conflict, Oniyasha, son of Kanimi, the head of the Kanzei troupe of Sarugaku performers, risked through his day question, why do people dance? Curious, sensitive, and strikingly beautiful, the boy meets people, laughs Cries, confronts his own weaknesses, and slowly begins to shape a new form of dance for a world steeped in impermanence. I have heard nothing but good things about this one, so I'm kind of excited.
Yep. So I wikied Saragaku, and it says Saragaku, which literally means monkey music, was a form of theater popular in Japan from the 11th to the 14th centuries. One of its predecessors was a form of entertainment reminiscent of modern day circus. This particular form was imported from China to Japan in the 8th century, and or rather, its predecessor was imported, and then Saragaku is an evolution of that. That's apparently indigenously Japanese. So the form began to favor comic sketches, while comic dialogues, improved comic party dances, short plays. It sounds like vaudeville. Just skimming this, so
Interesting.
yeah. I mean, I'm
I'm
a sucker for a good period piece, so bring it the fuck on.
I'm very interested as well. Both of these actually sound fun, and we definitely need more high dive. As much as
Oh,
I love Hell Mode.
this is what gave birth to no theater, apparently, eventually.
Okay, then. Looks like an interesting historical piece. I'm actually really excited for both of these. We definitely need more high dive dubs. We've been running on one high dive dub for a while because a lot of the other ones just weren't of interest to us, but these look fun.
Indeed.
And now we're here to talk about The Frontier Lord Begins with Zero Subjects, a show that we normally wouldn't talk about because it doesn't have an English dub, but why doesn't this Frontier Lord get dubbed?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the show and the characters first. And then when we're done talking about it, we're going to kind of go through again with the characters and just kind of our casting, if you will. I've got specific people. Sounds like Ark, you have just basic ideas of what you're looking for. We'll do that
Right.
as a
I
second
don't
segment.
know. My brain doesn't work like that. It's the same with screen actors. It's just like, who'd you cast for this? I'm like, I don't fucking know, but I
Well,
can
I'm
tell
going
you
to
if
give
it's
you
right or not.
outside of one very specific case where I had an immediate voice actor in mind. I was thinking about okay, what other voices and what characters would sound the way I want this to sound. Well, who's that voice actor or actress? And that's how I picked most of these.
Okay.
But we'll do that after we talk about the show. I think it will flow a little better than to interrupt ourselves doing that the whole time. We won't be talking
Indeed.
about Japanese say like we normally do with voice actors. Not that we disrespect them; these are some pretty damn good Japanese voice actors. We just don't have a frame of reference.
Right. And besides, the Japanese voice cast has already been cast and delivered an exceptional performance. So,
Yes. Well, no, I'm saying compared to our normal shows where we do specific casting people, I'm explaining to the audience why we're not doing that.
okay.
But anyway, Ark, this is definitely your baby because you read the light novel, so I want you to go ahead and lead us off on this one.
Okay. So, I'm going to try and be brief. Slap me over the head if I start talking too much. Okay.
Okay.
So, very brief overview of the world. Single continent, at least that we know of. I haven't heard tell of any others. Divided roughly between three powers. There's the kingdom, roughly in the center. There's the Beastland kingdoms to the west, and the Empire to the east. The kingdom and the Empire had a knockdown, drag out 20-year war that just or 30-year war that just recently ended. I think it was 20, might have been 30. Anyway,
You're going into
during
way
that,
more detail than the show has at this point, just so you know.
um, yeah, but so this is fought in the to the east of the kingdom. Now, starting from when he was 15, a young man named Diaz joined up as just an ordinary volunteer, basically just what we nowadays we might call meat assault troop. But he, through a combination of raw talent and also personal charisma, turned out to be one of the heroes of the war, together with a few other people. And so he's spent from when he's 15 to like 35, nothing but war. He's not the brightest guy, but his superpower, aside from just truly ridiculous strength and endurance, is that he is based in every sense that we mean of the word. He is just such a good person.
All your base will
And
belong to DS.
yes, in both based and base, as in that's a nice fort. He's going to come and literally smack the gates down. Um, yeah. So anyway, big fuck off battle axe. So anyway, so at the end of the war, he's lauded as the heroic savior of the kingdom, which the nobility does not like it. So he's given he's given a domain in the extreme west of the kingdom that it's arguable whether it does belong to the kingdom. It's kind of a no man's land between the kingdom and the Beastlands. And so the Beastlands are an organized, civilized place. But anyway.
This place is called the Nesros territory.
Yes. And it's basically just a giant fuck off grassland as far as the eye can see. And the funds and the civil servants that were supposed to come with him were redirected, embezzled, and he's basically dumped in the middle of this place where nothing but this grass is able to grow. And just told, have fun. And he's, like I said, kind of an idiot. And so he's just like, okay, first thing I need is food and water. So he just starts wandering around looking for what he needs to live. It doesn't even occur to him that he's been screwed over. He finds some water, and thankfully, it goes to sleep beside the river like a lemon.
Oh my god.
And is found.
What he does.
Yeah, no, he does. And he is woken up by a young lady who turns out this place is not uninhabited. It is the home to the Onikin tribe. Think humans with a single horn in the middle of their forehead, which is useful with magic and a whole bunch of stuff. And this is a young lady named Alna, who's out, well, hunting either animals or bandits. She's from a relatively poorly off family within the tribe. And she's thinking, oh, this, if I've got a bandit, I can sell his stuff. But there's something about DS because that convinces her to, instead of just putting an arrow through his head while he sleeps, to kick him in the ass and say, "Who the hell even are you?" And she is particularly good at this, but Oni can have their own whole schools of magic, and one of the things she's particularly good at is judging intention. Soul appraisal, they call it, where if somebody is neither helpful nor harmful, they'll come back as white. If they're helpful and they mean you well, they come back as blue, and if they mean harm, they come back as red. And DS is the bluest blue she has ever seen, to the point where she thinks her horn is broken. She's like, and also what he's saying doesn't really make any sense because it's kind of stupid. I mean, she doesn't know what to do, so she drags his ass to the elder. And the elder realizes after talking to him what's going on, because they had lost a conflict. The Onikin had lost a conflict with the kingdom. Supposedly they've been thrown out of the grasslands. They kind of snuck back in, and they've been living quietly ever since, and nobody's noticed. And she's like, okay, here is a chance to not only kind of reconcile with the kingdom, sort of, but also to kind of, in a sense, take the land for themselves in true. Because what she does is she's like, okay, we'll help you. And she gives him Alna in the expectation that they'll hit it off, which they do eventually. And gets him started thinking, okay, in exchange, basically let us be, and if we get rid of this guy, they'll send another asshole. And so Alna shows him how life works out on the plains. It's very Mongolian inspired, so a little bit of a confluence with Jadugar. Goddamn Mongolian! In the sense that they use yurts and stuff, and horses when they can get them. Very skilled archers. And Alna doesn't think much of Diaz at first, so she's like, why don't you make yourself useful and go hunting? So Diaz is like, okay. And she gives him some stuff to attract what are called black ghee, which thinks untamed wild buffalo. essentially. And he, being an idiot, uses the whole pouch of stuff. So he attracts a whole herd and kills about half of them before he's like, this is probably enough, and just kind of scares the rest of them off. And this impresses the shit out of all of them. And so that's where things start. But what really fall gets her to fall in love with him is, aside from the fact that he is just genuinely a good guy and he's very nice to her, but they're like over 10 years apart. And what's funny is she's 15, so by Onikin standards she's old enough to marry, but by the kingdom standards the age to marry is 18. I should mention that. And so Alna's now much more inclined towards him, towards Diaz, but it's still, they're not romantic or anything yet. And then she's like, hey, my sensor magic just went off. There's a monster coming. And it turns out to be an earth dragon, which is like a giant fuck off turtle that can spit fire and has an incredibly hard shell. And Diaz is like, okay, I'll go kill it. She's like, no way, we got to run away until it goes away. And he's like, nah, I got this. And his battle axe is a special one. He has no magical power whatsoever. He's an ordinary human, which is pretty unusual. Most people can use at least a little bit of magic, of any species, can use a little bit of magic. And but he has found that this axe kind of responds to him in the sense that if it gets damaged, he can just kind of focus on it and it'll fix itself. So between this self-repairing axe, his incredible stamina, and the fact that the Earth Dragon thinks, not without reason, that he's basically wasting his time, he just kind of hops up on its back and just starts smashing through its shell. And the Earth Dragon's like, okay, whatever. And then he starts breaking through. And then he kills it by himself. And to a culture like the Onikin, who value what they call manliness, which is basically how useful is a guy in the sense of living out here on the plains, Alna's like, okay, we're getting married. And things start from there. So she's his first subject. Well, her and two bars who are, think like intelligent sheep. They're cute.
They're very cute sheep that understand language when we say intelligent.
Yeah, although they are not sheep, they're bars. Bar wool is much better than sheep's wool, and also sheep are not intelligent. And so I can go on and on and on, but basically the rhythm of the novels and in turn the show is more people, either just kind of random people or people who know Diaz from his past life, keep showing up and keep becoming part of this steadily expanding village. And then every so often, something bad will happen, whether it's more monsters or dragons showing up, or a particularly brain dead princess, or whatever.
To say about that brain dead princess.
And the expression in the gun world, they all fall to hardball. Well, they all fall to Diaz. And it's basically just this cycle of he just keeps winning, both because of his own intrinsic things, but mostly because of the people he just naturally attracts to him. And it's a really heartwarming story.
Would agree. There's also this major undercurrent throughout the whole show as I've been watching, because you're a light novel reader. I'm just watching the show, man. There's an undercurrent of the story that you haven't even touched on because you're focusing so much on the details. You're missing the forest for the trees. There's this storyline going on about demi-humans and how they're oppressed, and they end up coming here because he's pretty chill with that. There's even a whole plot line about a neighboring domain where a demi-human basically wins a war to take over his domain, and it's a neighboring one. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes with that.
Yep, he gets tight with the domain lord next door to the east, and race relations and the whole nine yards, which also ties back to the aforementioned Beastlands. So
so that's kind of more of the undercurrent. Like, yes, Diaz being awesome is definitely a thing. But
And then there's
definitely
this
a thrust of
this
that.
whole religious conflict that we haven't even talked. The show hasn't even touched on yet.
Then we don't need to
Um,
talk about that because it's not in the show. Calm
yeah,
down.
but there's so many different plot lines. One other thing the show's emphasizing that, and I see why, that in the books is just it's always there, but nothing's really serious has come of it yet. Is there's this one guy who basically was being I can't I can't say it on YouTube. That will tell you kind of what he was up to. And DS took, shall we say, proportionate response upon his anatomy. And he's just been trying to get back at him any way he can, which kind of, at least at first, boils down to just kind of comic mischief. But it really inept. But I think it's eventually going to build to something serious.
I would agree with
Um,
you. We don't have a name or even a picture for this guy. I've been calling him
he's
Vengeance
thoroughly
Dude.
Yeah, he's thoroughly forgettable. I don't even remember his name. I'm not
Um,
even sure we got a name in the books, is the thing.
he's thoroughly pathetic in all the funny ways where his evil plans just either backfire or don't work, and he's the Team Rocket. He is one of the
Mhm.
two major antagonists for the show so far. The other being the aforementioned not very smart princess who tries to
Hmm.
pull Diaz into a war with her, and he's like, with what? Also,
Yeah,
no.
so, yeah, the Kings, again, I'm gonna try and stay shallow, but basically with the war over, the war was kind of the King's fault, so he's still the king, but his position politically is very weak, and the prevailing mood is let's set up the succession and just kind of ease him out into honorable retirement. The problem is he's got 5 kids. 2 boys and 3 girls. The youngest of whom, I'm not going to talk about the others for now, but the youngest of whom is named Diane. And she is not the brightest person in the world, to put it very kindly. Pretty enough, I
No.
suppose. And she's thinking, okay, this politically clueless but incredibly powerful dude with massive name recognition, this is a trump card that I could get. And so basically, she shows up unannounced, uninvited, and just says, will you marry either me or either of my retainers? All 3 of whom I should mention are very attractive. And Diaz is like, no, I'm already engaged. Um, which is, again, as far as the Oniken are concerned, he and Alma are married. As far as he's concerned, they're engaged. Until Alma comes of age, and everyone's just like, sure, whatever. And the point is, he was brought up. One of the things that he believes is monogamy, which is not a universal thing in this world, but that's his thing. And so he's not looking at anyone but Alma. And so he basically just says, no, was there anything else? And she takes this personally. And yeah, is where we are in the
And
story.
stupidity ensues.
You're going to love it. But again, people, so other people we should mention because we're going to do voices for them.
Well,
The
I was
first of
gonna
DS's
at
war
this
buddies to
point
show up.
at this point we might as well just do that because we've kind of
Okay.
gone through the story.
Yeah, the point is, so if you're looking for, there's quite a few books in the series already. If you're looking for something fun to read, if you're into light novels, I highly recommend. But if you're not, then this show is worth checking out, even subbed.
Absolutely, I've been watching it every week sub, but it absolutely deserves a dub. It should have a dub. That's why we're
Yeah.
talking about it. Why isn't this dubbed? And I think we're going to transition into the fan casting, as it were. These are what we
Hmm.
would do, or rather, what I would do if I was casting these people, and are what you'd look for in terms of a voice. Because
Hmm.
what I did is I kind of like, okay, with one very distinct exception, I didn't have a specific voice actor in mind. I was thinking, who do I think would fit this in terms of, I was thinking of other characters. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, and running through my head, no, yes, no. I'm like, there we go. Who voices that? And that's how I ended up casting most of these. The hardest one for me was actually our main guy, Diaz himself. I went through several possible people, all of which I think would have been perfectly fine. But I ended up going with Naze Tarsha. That's Kafka Hibino in Kaiju number 8, which is exactly why I cast him as Diaz, because you can't tell me that's not the perfect guy for that. But also
It would
Gorilla
definitely
Warrior and
work.
Freerun. I had several other guys in mind. Like I had Patrick Seitz in mind at one point. I'm like, that's a
Yep.
little too angry for Diaz.
Yeah, no, DS is very chill and,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
kind
don't
of
get
a
me wrong,
big
Tojima's
dumb slug
fun.
with a heart of gold. Yeah,
Right, and that's what led me to Patrick. That's what I was thinking of Tojima, who's also a big look dumb, but he gets a little too angry. DS is a lot more.
yeah.
He'll step up and fight, but he is not a rager.
Um, yes and no. His battle style when he really gets into it is as a berserker, but much like supposedly in real life with the Vikings, uh, outside of combat, he is a really chill guy.
Mhm. So that's kind of who I was thinking in terms of if I was going to cast him. That was my number one pick. But I had several others I went through. Um, at one point, I was thinking the voice of Taiju, but that's a little too excitable.
Yeah.
But
Definitely just so Patrick Seitz would be able to do both actually is the thing for the battle things. But yeah, there's a quite a number of excellent voice actors who could do DS.
absolutely, absolutely, that's just the one that I ended up on the one I ended up on. But I had, like I said, I had several I had thought of, and I mentioned a couple of them just now. But Ark, what kind of voice would you be looking for DS?
Well, like I just said, definitely a bass because he's big, and someone who has this is dumb but has this sort of inherent dignity because of just what a good person he is, and just kind of thing. How do I put this? I'm not sure what's going on, but that's all right. Is his attitude to a lot of what happens,
Yeah. Well,
and an
that gets
absolute
us
sweetheart.
to our deuteragonist here, Alna.
Hmm.
Um, Ark, what kind of voice would you be looking for Alna? I'll let you. I think I should let you go
So
first.
at least at this point, so first of all, young sounding. She's 15, um, and she's 5'6", I'd say. So yeah, but so someone is Alna is she is very much up for a waifu award because she is smart, but she's not a genius, but she knows her limits. Put she's very put together, very capable. She is not afraid to boss around Diaz and everybody else when she thinks she knows what's going on, but when she doesn't know what's going on or when she thinks someone else is better suited to take the lead, she has no problem backing off.
Hmm.
Um and yeah, she's kind of a little intense, but she reminds me of my mom, and that's very much a compliment. Only they think like a plains huntress instead of an engineer, which my mom is. So, but that same general attitude of bossy, but not for the sake of being bossy.
When I was looking to decide who I was going to pick for Alna, I was thinking of someone who could both be sweet but also fierce when it called for it.
Hmm.
And that led me to a legendary voice actress, Christina Valenzuela. And that's Reina Asakia in Digimon Beat Break, and most recently Sitara or Fatima in Jadagar, which is immediately what made me decide to go for Alna.
Okay, that would be a fine choice. But yeah, range is definitely to be
Oh yes,
required because
absolutely.
even as much as usually she's basically in mom mode and she's gonna make such a great Duchess. Um, and she does. But on the other hand, she is still a kid at the end of the day, and sometimes the mask will slip. And it's cute.
Hmm. It is. As for the leader of the Oniken, Maul, my casting actually, I was looking for like old granny kind of a voice. And you're gonna laugh when I tell you who this is, who I've decided on. The most relevant role for her is not one that you'd actually know, Arc. But there is a role that you do know, and this is Barbara Goodson. And the role you definitely know is Turbo Granny. The reason I actually landed on her though was a character in the show Magi, where she plays a wise old lady named Baba.
Okay, that definitely fits.
And that is why I ended up with that.
Yep. In fact, we'll need quite a few grannies for this show because there's a whole passel of human ones who show up. But Maul in particular, who I would nominate because there's because of her performance as Flemeth in the Dragon Age games, is Kate Mulgrew, who you'll know from Star Trek Voyager. She played Captain
I
Janeway.
guarantee you, there is no way in hell Crunchyroll could afford Kate Mulgrew.
Fair enough. But if we're doing fantasy things, because
Like, I actually took into consideration who could they actually get, because if I just go through anybody, then yeah, I could shoot for
right,
the
but
stars.
again, well, okay, but if one thing I learned from Dragon Age is if you cast Kate Mulgrew as a mysterious old witch character, you get perfection. So there's nothing sinister about Maul in the same way that there was about Flemeth, but there's that again that edge to her. It's always like, she's a thinker, she's a long range planner, she's an elder, um, and responsible for her people and very good at it. So that's my thought there.
Well, Ark, it's time for a bitch. I don't have any
Yeah.
other word for her.
Oh yeah.
For Princess Diane, my immediate thought was Kira Buckland because of Maribel. She's not as smart as Melville. She's dumb as a box of rocks. But you take Maribel and you take the smart out of her, I think that
Yeah, and
works.
add just all the intelligence, substitute with entitlement.
And the other role that I have for Kira Buckland that I felt was a good fit, although this is a heroic character, Izumo Kamiki in Blue Exorcist. And the reason I was thinking her is she has initially this come offish, I'm better than you attitude that would be perfect for Diane.
Okay.
So that's who I was thinking of for her. And I imagine I kind of cut you off. I apologize, but I imagine you have a similar idea for casting.
Yeah, no, that would be perfect. But yeah, just all of the entitlement and none of the brains. Um, it's really sad, honestly.
And she's a fun antagonist. What can I say?
Oh
We
yeah.
didn't really get into him in detail. I don't think we even got to mention him. But one of the first guys that ends up with Diaz is his buddy Klaus, who is war buddy. And he joins
Yep.
because he was with the princess, and he's like, "Nope, I'm gonna go over and hang out with my buddy Diaz. Screw this."
Yeah, he
He
waits
got
until they
himself
get back
fired.
to the neighboring domains and he gets himself fired, and then
Yes,
comes back.
genius move, honestly.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of a bro voice, but what kind of voice were you gonna go for?
Relatively young. He's about 10 years younger than Diaz. He's very sincere. I think your nomination would really work. But think like a young, true-hearted knight, which is literally what he's becomes
That
in the
is
domain.
very much what I was looking for. I actually ended up going with Jonathan Lim. That's Mitsuba Shimamura in Tojo Wants to Be a Common Writer. That is Rider Man. Uh,
Hmm.
he doesn't have any other voice roles. Give him this one. He would do amazing based on his other performance. That's my pick for Klaus.
Okay.
And we have another old lady, Maya, from who's one of the many old ladies who came from a neighboring domain. They were escaping from Castex because of some unsavory shit going on over there.
Yep. It was a bunch of senior citizen ladies who were literally thrown out because there were too many mouths to feed, which just oof.
Mm.
Um, and it turns out that Maya at least is. Well, I mean, all of them have different skills. Let's put it that way. They're
All
actually
right,
a
and
huge get for the domain.
for a proper dub, you'd have to cast all of them. I've only cast Maya because
Right.
yeah,
She's the most important one. She gets the most screen time.
yeah, she's the one
Um,
that kind of talks for them.
yeah, that and yeah, you'll see. But they all have roles to play. But yeah, so there's plenty of work for this is very much a huge cast type of show, ultimately.
Yes and no. A lot of quick rolls that come and go quickly, and then a core set that is moderate in size. But there's only so many. You don't need a whole bunch of people all at once. But there's a lot of people who come and go. At least so far. You're thinking in light novel terms. You got to remember, I have no idea.
Yep. All right. And next
But
up
Mike,
is
I didn't even get to cast her, dude. Come on.
what? Oh, you did say?
No, I was waiting for you to say what you would do, and you never did.
I just
You,
did. I spent 5 minutes saying it.
you were just describing her, but okay. Um, my casting though would have gone to Linda Leonard. That's Marilla Cuthbert and Nan Shirley, and that's actually why. But also the headmistress of the Alchemist Academy in Ancient Magus Bride Season 2, Lisa Quillen, and I think she would do really well as Maya.
Good choice.
I will be the first to admit my next casting is because I am a silly, silly, silly person.
Okay. So next up is a merchant from the west, from the Beastlands. One Sir Paging Do, Paging being his last name.
Dun dun
And
dun 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 dun.
well, it's literally he's one of a number of brothers. It's literally Do, Ray, me.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Yeah,
I'm just doing the frog theme from Chrono Trigger. That's what I was trying to make a joke.
Oh yeah, he looks very much like Frog, except as a merchant.
I thought you were going to get that when I was singing.
It did not come through Discord.
But yeah, he's a merchant. He's important for the scene he's in, and then he kind of goes.
We'll be seeing a lot more of him, but yeah. And his family, they're all quite important. But I see why your casting is.
I am a very silly person.
It's not completely off base, so why don't you say it and then we'll talk.
My silly casting is Risa May because she is the voice of Gakamon in Digimon Beat Break, and I think that would be hilariously perfect for Page and Tell. I don't know anything about the character that detailed, but the character is a frog person, and I think the Gakamon voice would be funny. That's literally the reason.
Okay, so I'll say I would expand that to have Risa do both Do and his son, who we meet at some point, who's a little tadpole, like a little anthropomorphic tadpole, do more of the slightly less spastic, but the Gekomon voice for the kid, but have the same voice actress do the father as well, because it's a frog person. You can use a male or a female.
That can
voice
actually
actor.
work pretty well. Because Risa May is also the voice of Xiaohei in Kelvin Generic Romance, and that's a little less spastic.
Perfect. The only thing is, can she do a good fake merchant accent? Like as they usually render it as a Kansai accent, with the dropping syllables all over the place. That's how he talks. So,
well, dubs don't. Oh, you know what dubs do with that, don't you? Consistently through every they do one of two things.
Well, it's a convention. Just
yes, I understand, and you are being an incredible weeb right now. But what dubs do with that, they either completely ignore it, or, and this is actually the version I like, they give them a southern drawl.
Okay, that works. Either way works, but the point is he does have an accent, is the thing, because he's from a rather different area.
Mm-hmm.
And next up, we need high-pitched ladies to be very cute.
Probably do these pretty much right next to each other because they're the twins. Sanai and Ihan, and my casting difference is purely like based on the facial expressions on the art I found. That's literally because I can't really tell them apart.
They come as a unit.
They do. That's why. So Sanai and Ihan. For Sanai, I guess I should let you say what you do first. But my thought was just the cute girls. That's the voices I was looking for.
Yes, cute little girls.
For Sanai, I went with Sarah Wideneft because she voices Alice Ramis in Devil's Part-Timer. And also Teti in Witch Out Atelier, and I think that's a good combination voice for a cute little girl for Sanai. And for
Absolutely.
Ihan, similarly, I went with Jad Saxton because of Hakase and Nichicho, but also Tisei Garland in Banished from the Heroes Party. Cute girl to, cute older girl. I thought that worked well for the two of them. Literally the main difference in terms of who I picked for who. I got the impression based on the art that Ihan was a little less serious, and so that's kind of why she got the Hakase voice.
Sure. I mean,
It's purely
as long as they
subjective.
work well, as long as they play well off each other and they're both cute, that's the important bits.
Yeah, that I totally agree with. But I think they both could do very well. And now my favorite character, and one of the characters I had a voice in mind for right away. I didn't have the voice actor. I don't know his name as well as I should, but I knew exactly who I wanted for Camelot's, who is a attendant from the Castex domain.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of voice did you have in mind?
Butler.
Well, I had a very elegant voice in mind.
That would be perfect, yes.
And that is, of course, Barry Yandel, Henry Henderson, the Lord of Elegance in Spy Family. He's also Mori in Dragon Ball Kai, and you could do a little bit of that too, but I very much
dial Henry back about 2 notches to be just more matter of fact rather than be a caricature, and that's perfect.
Yep. And now for the guy that I had the cast for immediately. I already knew exactly who I wanted for Eldon, the buddy who saves the next domain over from his tyrannical father and brother and is trying to make it less bad, and a buddy to Diaz. And that's
oh yeah.
I should ask if you had anything in mind, but I just the way he talks and acts.
It needs to be someone with the capacity to with range, because Eldon does grow over time, but never changes who he is, which will mean a shift in the performance over time, and so you need someone really capable to do that.
Well, my immediate casting, because who I hear in my head when I see this guy is Greg Ayers, legendary voice actor from back in the day, although he's still at it. And Ark, do you remember Chrono Crusade?
The game, I remember watching you play it a bit.
Buddy, that's not a game, it's an anime. You're thinking Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. Chrono Crusade is an anime.
I remember it. I don't really remember voices specifically.
Okay, it's the main character
I
in
just
that.
remember the 20s slang mostly.
Yeah. Well, he's Greg Ayers is the main character in that. I thought you'd remember. That's why I put that there. And the most relevant to modern stuff would be Koji Koda Anima in My Hero Academia, but you haven't seen that either. And then the other one I put on there, which you might have known it, but you know the character but not the voice, is Yohei Tsunohara in Clannad. Let me see if there's anything else. He's in Dangers in My Heart as Kenta Kanzaki. I don't remember who that is, but you might.
Oh God. I can't place it.
Okay.
I do recognize the name.
Hold on 1 second. I need you to hear this voice.
1 hour later.
Okay. So yeah, definitely for starters that'll work. He also needs to be able to do deeper and more mature for later.
He can. He absolutely can. That's why I was throwing Chrono at you in Chrono Crusade. If you don't remember the voice, you remember the character.
Okay. Well, then yeah, that would totally work.
That is the immediate one I had in mind right away, because that just screams him. And I think he'd do fantastic as Eldon. All right. And now for Vengeance Dude. I was trying to think of the most pathetic sounding voice that I could think of in terms of trying to be like, haha, I'm getting revenge. Oh shit. And that led me
to with a blue-blooded tinge to it.
Yeah, I mean I didn't quite.
He was originally a noble, but yeah.
But I could see why you'd go for that. Is there anything else you would like to say about what kind of voice you look for before I say who I cast? Because this one was kind of
no, that's about right. It's just the stupid noble kid who really fucked up and was actually rather sensibly cut out of his house as Succession and thrown
So
out for this.
I hate to do this because I love this voice actor, and I feel so bad if he had to voice this guy. But it's Doug Erholtz, and it's purely because of his voice as Inspector Zenigata in the modern Lupins, and also Part One. He's also Hazama on Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, if you've played that. Which is why I know he could make it a little more sinister than Zenigata, because Zenigata's a big goof. But I want that big goof energy for this character. That's kind of why I cast it.
All right. And yeah, I mean, later we'll need at least nominally a bit more sinister. What if anything will come for it? I don't know. This is again, they're setting it up because I think it's a very much a long-term thing. But in the novels, I barely remembered he existed
And if
until I'm
that's
like,
the
oh
case, it's
right,
going to be
that.
so far out. He is a current voice for Gin Ichimaru, who's kind of a replacement voice in Bleach. So I think he could pull that off.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I think he'd be a good fit just because this guy reminds me of Vengeance Joe. If anyone remembers that old webcomic. All right, the last character that we're going to go through is Ama. I wrote into kin as if it were, as you will. I
Yep.
can't remember if they have an exact name for what she is.
She is a long-eared hopping mousekin.
Okay.
Is the name for her species or her folk. So that what I wrote below it is her name as rendered in the novels. So Amer Jerry Bauer, slightly different pronunciation, but again, transliteration.
Well, yeah. Well, pronunciation. We're literally just going
Yeah.
on.
So
what we're hearing in
she is
Japanese.
physically very small, and long story how she gets there, but she winds up getting real tight with the twins, the elf twins, and so or treekin, excuse me. Yeah, they're not called elves, but they're elves. And she is you so you need someone very high pitched because she's very physically small. She's a um about the size of a guinea pig, all told, or maybe a little larger. Like a real life guinea pig. So she's physically very small, but she is smart and very capable. And she's to the point where I now refer to her as Lady Amer. It's not formal, but she's important.
Well, it's funny you mentioned small because although I didn't put it in my note for who I cast, the person I'm choosing for her has voiced one of the chickens in Rooster Fighter.
Yeah, that would work. But yeah, someone who can carry out being high pitched while also sounding like very much a mature adult and highly intelligent.
So the mature adult intelligent was what I was thinking. I had a specific voice in my head, and I had to piece out who is this. Like I'm repeating it in my head. Like, okay, I have the voice. Who does this belong to? And I realized it was Alan in Hell Mode. And that led me to realize this is Lucy Christian, who you might also know as Yunio and Zenshu. But also most notably Nami in One Piece. But also, as I mentioned, Elizabeth in Rooster Fighter. I think she's got the chops. She's an incredibly skilled voice actress. Oh God, that's who I'm going to use in my reference. I should use her. She's Konoha, Magnolia, and Dark History of Reincarnated Villainous. Tell me she can't pull that off.
Okay, I see it.
Not our main character, the cute heroine, but still, I think it works very well. And that's kind of I wanted something cute but also smart, and Lucy Christian's who I came up with.
Yep, and Lucy Christian is somebody, but Amer is a very much central cast, so very much not wasting her.
Oh yes. So that is the end of the casting from us, as it were.
Yep.
And it's just a fun little thing to do for a show that doesn't have a dub, that we want to have a dub. We don't do these episodes too often. It's been a couple. I don't think we did one last year. We did one the year before for the Appraisal anime, which still doesn't have a dub somehow. But yeah, Why isn't this Frontier Lord dubbed, Crunchyroll?
Indeed. Yeah, the Frontier Lord begins with 0 dubs. There's our
Yeah.
episode title.
I already had one, but thank you.
Okay, well, then whichever you prefer.
But yeah, I guess that's the topic for the day.
Okay. So then.
And it's my shout, so I should probably shout out CraigNotCreg because you probably don't know anything about this guy.
Never heard of him.
So CraigNotCreg, if you've seen him for his shorts, where he dresses up as an employee at a retail establishment and basically he tells our stories, the stories of retail work. He plays it out between himself. He's a one-man acting troupe, like he plays multiple characters, bouncing off each other in retail situations. If you've ever worked retail, this is the therapy. You will laugh and cry and then laugh some more.
Yeah, I just try and repress those memories.
Well, if you ever want to point and laugh, he's fun. He makes it funny. He actually does.
Oh, I believe it. It's just, oh god, the pain.
Oh, dude, you think you had it bad. I worked at Toys R Us.
Fair.
But that is why I'm shouting him out. Well, it's that time. And Art, you don't have social media, but where can the people find you?
Let's see. Not sure anything new since we one game that just came out that is just fucking amazing. It's called Iron Nest Heavy Turret Simulator. Go look it up. And if it seems like there might be the slightest bit of interest, try the free demo. I think it is the fucking coolest thing ever. I'm not even going to try and pitch it. Just go look on Steam, okay? Iron Nest.
I did watch you play it. It looks like a fun group game.
Well, that's the thing. It's single player only, at least for now. But it's a one-man dev team, so either we'll get co-op added to this at some point, or there'll be a sequel. But even single player, it's more just, it's not that you can't do it, it's more just, it's like, oh god, this could be so much more efficient if I had at least one more person, maybe.
Oh, I misunderstood. I thought you were hawking it because you wanted me to play with you. I misunderstood.
Oh no, I would have been much more direct. No, would that I could, but no, I would love 2 more people to and then we could just be, oh my god, we could wreck all of the face.
My favorite part is the newspaper.
Oh yes, it's fantastic. Very black humor. Just again, Iron Nest. Go look it up.
It's not at all the same game, but it has a similar feel to Papers, Please.
It's a similar setting, yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like in terms of
If
feel,
you want,
it's not at all the same kind of game.
If you want something, actually, it's another thing. If you want something similar to Papers, Please, a new game called Gateguard Simulator, which is building off both that and the first-person Contraband Police, which is based on that. A Gateguard Simulator, which is taking it medieval. That's in open playtest. It's looking very promising. Although I hit a bug on day 4 in the current build, so I've had to stop playing the playtest. But it's literally an alpha, so it's not even an early access, it's just an alpha. So yeah, check that out. But
okay.
Yeah.
As for me, you can find me on Twitter at LaserKidPrime. You can find me on Blue Sky at LaserKid. And you can find me over on the Toonami Faithful podcast, where I talk about Toonami with friends of the podcast, Sketch, Kuro, and Steven, and several other awesome people. If you like anime, come check us out. We talk about Toonami anime, which is currently a drought. But it droughts and floods. We've got murders going on. Who knows what's going to happen? But hey, more than likely you came from there to here, which we thank you for. But in case you didn't, go check us out. It's a fun time over there. As for Simuldub Saints, you can find us right here on YouTube, which is definitely where you're watching this when it comes out, because right now Archangel's doing the editing, and I do not ask you to do audio versions. I'll take care of that when I get home. So Yeah, that's a fun thing. As for social media for Simuldub Saints, you can find us on Twitter and Blue Sky at Simuldub Saints, and we have a Facebook group, which is linked on the YouTube homepage and the Spotify podcast page for the podcast. Apologies that the award episode got kicked off of Spotify pretty much a day later. They did not like the music being used for the intros for some reason. When YouTube doesn't care, but Spotify does. I don't know what universe we're in, but that's the universe we're in. So, yeah, that's where you can find the podcast. Well, that about does it for this week's episode of Simuldub Saints. So until next time, catch you later.
どうしてだろう同じ道なのにうつむきたくなる日もあるよね涙笑顔繰り返して誰もが今日を歩いてるどんな朝を迎えても星降る夜の約束消えたりしない汚れたりしない